Join Mukonki Mukonkela from Inside Partners Africa every Tuesdays at 0720 hours on the Ndalama Insights Business Show, a program that gives you the best and most practical actionable insights. Good morning and welcome back to another insightful episode of Ndalama Insights. This is the business show that brings you practical tips and advice to help you achieve financial success. I'm your host, Leslie Singangwe, and today we have with us financial expert Mukonki Mukonkela, who's joining us to discuss the topic of designing an effective savings and investment plan to reach your financial goals. So good morning, Mukonki, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Leslie. How are you? And good morning, listeners.
Right, we're very well, thank you. Today, most of us find ourselves without any savings, sadly, and that's quite common. But the good news is that you have the power to change this. Savings are not just idle money sitting in your account. They're the key to your financial freedom. And today, we explore how to design a plan that will help you reach your financial goals. And now we just dive in. Konki, our viewers, our listeners are basically eager to learn. To start, could you explain what a savings plan is and why it is essential?
Thank you, Leslie. A savings plan is all about keeping money or setting money aside for specific goals that you've created for yourself. So, when you have that habit of setting money aside for the goals that you've set for yourself every month, and you've got a systematic approach to, that savings, then you've created a savings plan. So, the key things here is you've got goals and you're regularly saving towards those or setting money aside towards meeting those goals.
Okay. Now, how can a well-structured, savings plan basically help individuals prioritize their financial objectives as well as make consistent progress?
So, a well structured savings plan, just from the definition, is a plan that has specific goals that you are trying to meet. So, that is a well structured savings plan. If you've structured your savings plan really well, we expect you to have certain goals, such as short term goals, long term goals, retirement goals, investment goals as well, because investing is quite different from saving. But for you to start investing, you need to start. For you to start investing, you need to start by saving. And so, if you've got a well structured savings plan, it is going to enable you to achieve these goals that I've highlighted, your short term goals, long term goals, your retirement goals, as well as investment goals. And so if you've got this structure and you're consistently saving, you will, and you're disciplined, by the way, we expect that you're going to meet your financial objectives and you're going to attain financial freedom. And I like that you said your savings are actually the power to your financial freedom, because that's what gets you started in terms of attaining financial freedom. So having a well structured savings plan is really important. And also, to add, with a structured savings plan comes how you save the money. What options do you look at when you're saving money? Now we've got so many options like bank accounts that play different roles. But one key important thing that I need to caution you with bank accounts is you look at them as savings only, just to keep money or set money aside. You don't expect to grow your money through savings. And that is why the investment element becomes really critical, because keeping money at the bank really doesn't earn you as much interest as many of us now know. Inflation rate is probably right now, in last month inflation rate, Leslie, stood at 9.9%. And if you go to a bank and look for savings accounts, you never find any savings account that is going to earn you more than 9.9%. There are a few fixed deposit accounts that you might find that might closely come to that, but majority savings account do not beat the inflation rate, which is why when you are looking at ways of saving money, don't look at it as an investment plan. And that's why I would like us to also talk about investing, because I like to look at savings as just setting money aside for future use to meet your objectives.
Hmm. When you do think about it, it is actually sort of a loss. Because if you put in 100 kwacha, then in 6 months, that 100 kwacha is worth 90 kwacha. So you've really not made any money, have you?
Not even 6 months lazy. So if you put in 100 kwacha in the savings account, and by the way, most banks require a minimum of 1,000 kwacha. By the end of the year, that's if the interest rate is 10% following inflation. We expect you to make 10 kwacha on the 100 kwacha for the 12 months.
Wow.
Just imagine what else you could do with that 100 kwacha. I mean,
Yeah, definitely quite a lot. Now, could you explain how these different categories play a role in a savings and investment plan, though?
so these roles or goals play specific, they're really specific, and it's important that we understand this. Now, I know these concepts of saving and what are really new concepts, and many of us are really behind, and no one should feel discouraged or should feel like I'm lagging behind. In fact, you actually are part of the norm. Majority of us, these are new concepts that we are trying to embrace because we are trying to, move away from this poverty mindset. And so if you look at these specific goals, short-term goals are goals like maybe paying school fees, maybe going on a vacation with your family, because once in a while you need to take time off work. Those are goals that you need to attain in less than 12 months. If you look at long-term goals, we're talking about big goals like building a house. These are normally more than 1 year, maybe going to 10 years or however many years you want. Building a house, buying a car, also investing falls under long-term goals. So we've got short-term goals and long-term goals. Under short-term goals, we've got the ones that I've mentioned. Long-term goals also includes bigger goals and also investing. So separate your investment goals as well. And also the emergency fund is also a goal, because you also need to save towards emergency fund, and I spoke about that last week. So when you have a clear idea of these goals, it then allows you to start saving towards these particular goals. And then once you start saving, and my interest is an investment goal, because it's from the investment goal that you're going to earn a return. Remember, with savings, you're merely just setting money aside. It's never going to grow. But with investing, we expect the money to grow. And that's why you look at different investment options that can grow your money. This is why we look at the government bonds, the treasury bills, the money markets, which is basically, fixed deposit accounts and treasury bills that the banks do for you, which you can also do for yourself, especially when it comes to treasury bills. And so investing is really, for me, the key. So, but you need to start by setting money aside even for investing. And so this is why this is the key role of the savings and investment plan.
All right. Well, good morning, and just for listening to the Ndalama Insights show. And of course, today we're looking at designing an effective savings and investment plan to reach your financial goals. And with me in the studio is financial expert Mukonki Mukonkela. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
You are still listening to the Ndalama Insights Business Show, brought to you by Insight Partners Africa. Leave your comment or question on Mukonkela's YouTube channel. The Ndalama Insights, turning your challenges into actionable insights.
It is the Ndalama Insights radio show, and we are looking at designing an effective savings and investment plan to reach your financial goals with Mukonki Mukonkela. Mukonki, when it comes to good investments, what factors should individuals consider to ensure a good return on investment?
So factors to look at when it comes to investing, when you want a good return, you need to, like you mentioned the example of 100 kwacha, Leslie. You need to ask yourself, on this 100 kwacha, how much can I make if I kept it at the bank, maybe in a fixed deposit account? How much can I make in terms of profit? Because the return on your investment is simply the profit that you're making on the 100 kwacha. So how much profit will I make on this 100 kwacha? But if I saved it in a treasury bill, how much profit will I make? So you need to do comparisons. If I kept, and if I maybe, let's just assume it's possible for you to buy a house with 100 kwacha. If I bought a house with 100 kwacha and put it on rent, how much income will I be able to make through rentals from this money? So you need to make comparisons, and that is what we refer to as your return on investment, and also assess the risks associated with the investment, because every investment has got risks. And by the way, The Ndalama Insights radio program is a program that wants to build wealth legitimately and in a way which you can actually, it's building. It's not about speculating. It's not about today we are, trading in shares and we're going to make 1 million and get rich quick schemes. It's about building, and building takes time. Even just from building a house, you have to have a strong foundation to build the house. And so you need to assess the risks of your investment. Every investment has got risks. That's why this platform is really essential. Conduct research. Hear from different advisors. Now we've got so many different advisors. Hear from different advisors. What are the risks of investing in government bonds? Because it might sound all rosy, but there are some risks. I mean, government might default on paying the government bonds. Right now, we've got a big debt issue that the government is facing with euro bonds. All that falls under bonds. And so when you are looking at investment, don't just look at the rosy part. Also look at the risks of investment, because they are there. And once you are comfortable with your investment and also understand what you're investing in, once you are comfortable, then you can go ahead and proceed and actually invest. Leslie, can I just add one more thing?
Mhm.
Actually, this radio program, all the topics we are covering are leading us to a training program in December on the 14th and 15th at the Radisson Blue that we are calling Journey to Financial Freedom. And so all the topics that we are talking about, we're actually going to have a practical training course in December. So for those that are listening or watching live on YouTube, that's Mukonki Mukonkela. I'm live streaming on YouTube. You can also ask your questions. We are going to do an actual practical training. We intend on inviting investment companies as well as the government in terms of BOZ to help us with some of these elements in terms of our citizens really understanding what investing in government bonds is about, treasury bills, good accounts that you can open with banks in terms of savings that will give you good interest rates. So that's what it's about, Leslie.
All right. Now let's move on to our listener questions. One question comes from Sarah in Lusaka, and she asks, "How much should I be saving each month to achieve my financial goals?"
So how much should you save? I know there are people that, give you some kind of target or percentage in terms of how much you should save. Others say you can save 10%, 20% of your income. What I say is save what you can afford from your revenue. So first start with a budget. Do your budget, look at your income, look at your expenditure. The balance is what will determine how much you are able to save. So, and from your budget, you're also able to identify areas where you can reduce expenditure so that you start saving a substantial amount or setting aside a substantial amount to your goals.
Okay. Our next question is from John in Dollar, and he asks, "How can I balance saving for short-term goals and investing for long-term goals?"
Um, Really good question, because like I keep saying, when you are focusing on savings, not just for your short term, because your short term is your current needs, but then if you are able to set aside money for long term, and how you can do that is, again, work with a budget. Look at your budget, identify areas where you can save money, set aside money for your long term goals, because your long term goals also include your investment plan. And it is from the investment plan that you're going to start building assets in property, assets in bonds. That platform, the asset portfolio, is then going to help you to start using the return on the investment to attain your longer term goals, like building a dream house that you want, or other longer term goals that you want to achieve. So you need to look at but your budget, identify areas you can reduce money on, and then start saving towards your longer term goals as well, even as you are also meeting your shorter term goals.
All right, and those are the questions from our listeners. Now, Mukonki, before we wrap up, could you share an actionable insight or tip that our listeners can implement right away?
Thank you, Leslie. So one actionable insight right now today is, with savings, many of us are really, it requires discipline for us to start saving money. It's not an easy thing. So one way you can do this is automate your savings. If you've got a regular salary, for those that are really lucky, every month you know how much you're getting, you need to do some kind of direct debit or credit from your account straight into your savings plan or your savings goals. So do an automatic transfer from your salary account, and have separate accounts, by the way. You can even have as many as these 4 categories I've spoken about for your short-term goals, retirement, investment, and longer-term goals, and have automatic transfers from your salary account to these goals that you've created for yourself. For those of us who are in employment, our salaries are not, our incomes are not really fixed. They fluctuate once in a while. We can still create some kind of habit to set aside whatever money we make from our profit towards meeting these goals.
All right, that was a great tip, Mukonki.
Yeah.
Thank you once again, Mukonki, for sharing your valuable insights with us today. It has been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you so much. And Leslie, for those that have been watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us today. If you've got any questions, you can post them in the chat box and we will respond to them on next week's program. We're looking at retirement funds and the pension, about the NAPSA partial withdrawal. We're going to touch a little bit on that.
Okay, there's a lot still going on until December. Well, thank you to our listeners for tuning into this episode of Ndalama Insights. And remember, with a well-designed savings and investment plan, you can reach your financial goals and pave the way to a secure future. If you have any more questions or topics you would like us to explore, feel free to reach out. And until next time, stay financially empowered.
You have been listening to Ndalama Insights Business Show, brought to you by Insight Partners Africa. If you missed anything, visit www.insightpartnersafrica.com for recorded episodes and subscribe to Mukonki Mukonkela on YouTube for more actionable insights.